Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share a scrapbooking process video with you. Now today's layout that I am sharing with you is a part of the Kitaholic Kits Australia Day cyber crop that is going on today. Now for the crop, I decided to take on the Mixed Media Challenge. And as you can see there is a list of mixed media items, and the challenge is to include at least 3 of the items from the list on your project. So I looked at the list there and decided that I could tick off more than 3 on a project because I do love a challenge. So the items that I am actually working with are acrylic paint. Now for the texture paste and glitter, I decided to cheat a little bit, and I'm actually using the Ranger glitter gel that came in a recent kit because it does act like a texture paste and it is also glittery. So I thought I'd tick off 2 items from the list with that one product. I'm also using a stencil, a Heidi Swap Colour Shine spray, and I'm using a colour shimmer dust from Be Arty to make a watercolour paint. So I'm ticking off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items off the list. So for my page, I started off with some Montmartre acrylic paint, which I just rolled onto the page using a brayer, just on that lower section of the page. The colour that I was using there is Naples Yellow, and that is one of my favourite colours to use. I just really like the tone of this paint. And then what I decided to do was, as I said, I rolled it just to cover sort of the bottom section of the page, and I wanted it a bit sort of rough and patchy. And then on the top section of the page, I used a wide brush just to apply the watercolour paint down from the top, and then I allowed it to run down the page. Now, the interesting thing about mixing acrylic paint and watercolour paint on a page is the acrylic paint, given that it has a plastic base, will act sort of as a resist to the watercolour paint. So the watercolour paint will run down, it will fill in those gaps between the acrylic paint, and you are able just to dab the excess off from over the top of the acrylic paint. So I really like the effect of a soft watercolour with, an acrylic paint on the same page. So I was looking for a couple of contrasting colours. The colour of the shimmer dust that I used there was Midnight, and I mixed it up and it gives a sort of grey tone on the page. So I was contrasting that yellow off with the grey, which gave me a good light dark mix. So once I had applied all of my paints to the page, I was then having a look at the papers that I was going to use. Now, most of the papers that I am using here were from the Kitaholic Kits current kit, the January kit, and that features a lot of papers from the Vicky Bouton Storyteller range, and I absolutely love Vicky Bouton's stuff. It's got a great sort of eclectic vibe to it. It's great for boy pages, and as you can see, I am actually scrapping a page about my boys here, and yeah, there's some really funky stuff in this collection. So I had bits and pieces left in my box, and I thought, what better way to use them than for this? Now, once I had the paint dried out on my background and I knew I was going to use that Ranger Stickles glitter gel, I grabbed a stencil, which was also Vicky Bouton Storyteller. I believe this one might have been in the Kitaholic Kits November kit. It's just got a lot of words on it, and I thought I'd spread some of those words around the page. I really wanted my stenciling to be sort of quite subtle in the background because I knew that the papers were going to be bold and busy, and I didn't want to complicate my page too much or crowd it too much or make it too busy on the background, because then it would compete with those busy papers. So I just stenciled on a few words around the page, and then I was going back to my list and grabbing my spray, and I was actually adding some splatters to my page. So I unscrewed the top from that Colour Shine bottle, as you can see, and I just used a kid's fine brush. It's one that's got the stiff nylon bristles, and just used that to add splatters around my page. So you can see them there, and you can see the beautiful shine from the Ranger Stickles glitter gel there. That colour that I've actually used, the iridescent one, is Moon Dust. So I had to set my page aside to dry off a bit because I had wet splatters and I had wet glitter gel. So it was a perfect time. I went back to start putting all of these layers together that I was going to add to the page. Now, to cut down on time, I decided to create my layered photo mat independently from my background like this. So I just put all the pieces together and I was just stapling them together as I went so that I could move them around as a whole piece. And once the background was dry, I could just stick the entire lot back down onto the background. So I have pieces from one of the Vicky Bouton cut apart sheets there. I've also got a little coloured doily. I've got some frayed gauze. I am tearing and distressing and just layering things up just to get a lot of depth going on in the paper layers there and just to add some texture to my page as well. Now, that photo of my boys that I am scrapping there was actually taken almost a year ago to the day, and they had just been down to school to have a look at the class lists and found out for the first time ever they were actually going to be in separate classes. Now, one took the news better than the other, and even though they both look quite happy in this photo, prior to the photo, we did have a few tears from one. But I am happy to report they both did have a great year in year 2, and they seem to cope with the separation well, and I think they will be in separate classes forevermore moving on from here. So back to my page. You can see that I've got all of those layers put together. I found a journal card from one of the Vicky Bouton cut aparts that I wanted to use, and my plan was with that journal card that I was actually going to use my recently acquired typewriter to add my journaling. So I pop that aside, and you'll see later on I take that aside and type my journaling on it. So I'm sticking down all of those papery layers onto my page there, and I just find, you know, if you can't work straight on your background and your background's drying, you can create your paper layers together like this. Use a stapler to keep them all together. It's quick, it's easy, and it's an easy way to be able to just move the entire lot around on your page. So sticking down all of those papers, as I said, I've got a journal card that's going on there as well. I also wanted to create a bit of extra interest down the bottom of the page. So you can see that I've added a label sticker there. I do believe that may have been a Pink Fresh label that was also from a previous kit. And the wood veneer stars that I'm working with here are from this month's kit, the January kit, and these came from Memory Maze in Australia. I do love wood veneer stars, love, love, love. I find they are a great embellishment for boy pages, and stars would have to be one of my go-tos when it comes to boy pages. So on that label down the bottom there, I've added a phrase sticker, which I believe was from Heidi Swap Old School, and I have also added the Go Where the Stars Take You sticker, which is a Vicky Bouton one, as my page title. And now I'm just looking around to see what else I can stick on there. I found that little phrase sticker, that one more chapter, and I wasn't sure initially where I was going to place it, but I did decide to place it along the bottom edge of my photo because I do love embellishing directly onto my photos. I also found that awesome arrow sticker, and I did want to pop it up from the page a bit, so I added a little bit of foam tape behind that before I stuck it down in the page. My apologies for the glare. I didn't realise that those stickers were going to catch the light the way they are there. So I had my title down in place. I had my stickers down in place. That's when I took my journaling card off to add my journaling to with my typewriter. And then I just tucked it in to those paper layers alongside the photo. I bent up the bottom corner of it just to add a little bit of dimension to it. And then once I had all of these embellishments in place, I went back to look at my background again because I needed to finish it off and I needed to tie in that background to the foreground, to all of those papers, and to be able to finish off this layout. So a couple of the things that I added to my background, I did add I wanted to tie in the text on my journal card, that typed text. So I had a little bit of a hunt through my roller stamps, and I did find this October afternoon one. It had the little phrase on it, "The story begins," and the font on it was very, very similar to the font on my typewriter. So I decided to stamp that just sort of randomly around the page. And the other thing I did do to tie in my background with my embellishments was I used a rubber stamp from Viva Las Vegas Stamps that's got a scattering of little stars on it, and I just stamped a few of those around the page, and that just helped bring the whole thing together. Now, if you'd like to join in with this challenge or any of the other challenges that are on offer today, the crop is being hosted through the Kitaholic Kits community group on Facebook, and I'm going to put the link for the group and all the other links that you might possibly need. Make sure you go and have a look at all the other videos of everyone that's participating. We've got live videos happening today. There is so much going on. So make sure you pop over, join the group, and check it all out. Thanks so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to see the entries for this challenge, and I'll be back soon with some more content. Thanks for watching. Bye.